Yeah, man. Love that intro. Check my audio. I'm pretty sure it's pretty good. It's very, very quiet in here right now. Or it seems quiet to me because I've been doing PMs on my motorcycle. So it just sounds quiet to me. I just turned it off. Let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna do some riding tomorrow. Just total pattern break. I haven't touched my motorcycle in like a month and a half. I got to get on it. And this is too hot to drink. I'll let that boil. All right, man. We got a good one today. So that's right. Let's do it. Joke yachts, let's do it. So in this presentation here, nothing I say is true, but I believe every single bit of it. So you take that any way you want to. And after I am finished with this long monologue, perhaps you will have a better understanding of what I mean. So we're going to take many hypotheticals into consideration. We have to. Nothing has made sense since the late 2019. The world before November 2019, we all remember, it was a very different world where things made sense. It's where the news, we may not agree with what's going on in other parts of the world and what we hear on the news, but shit made sense. But since 2019, nothing's made sense. And we've talked about this before. We've talked about it a lot. But I don't think we've ever put it together like this. So we're going to put together a hypothetical. That hypothetical is, because we know that something is factual, we're going to bridge the distance between that fact and a hypothetical scenario. This is an intellectual exercise. Most of you are going to be able to follow it. But the fact is that the CIA already knows about the repeated reset timelines. They're already cognizant of a very close impending future date. And they declassified a document just recently. Many of the so-called, truther investigators, like, Jimmy Corsetti, he did it, and other people have talked about it. But it's the Con Thomas CIA redacted document. And I don't care about that document. I don't even care that it's steeped in uniformitarianism. But what I do care about is that the CIA had it in their possession. They purchased all his books only to keep them from the public. They heavily redacted, I believe it was like 268-page book. And what was released to the public under the Freedom of Information Act in 2013, the public got a redacted version that was only 57 pages. But Con Thomas had written a book in the 1950s, published in the 1960s, and then suppressed by the CIA. And in that book, he described that Adam and Eve story in Genesis isn't what you think. It was a total systemic reset, and it's a part of a vast mathematical pattern. So that's the fact. The particulars are unimportant. But the fact is that the intelligence community already knows that something's coming. So we're going to bridge that with a hypothetical. That hypothetical is, hypothetically speaking, the CIA knows that in 14 years, a vapor canopy is going to return. Anyone who has never come into contact with the Archaics research wouldn't know what the hell we're talking about. But most in my community do, and you understand that the history of the world, the true history of the world, is punctuated between vapor canopy periods and ice ages. And we're in an ice age right now. And the establishment education that we've all received since we were a little kid is gaslighting. It's all bullshit. So the fact is that the intelligence community already knows that a major event is on the very near horizon. The intelligence community already knows the uniformitarian model's bullshit. But they keep this from the private sector. The hypothetical that I'm asking you to entertain is that May 2040 is the next 138-year periodicity of the Phoenix phenomenon. It's not far, it's 14 years. So we're talking about a situation where the mesosphere is going to thicken with volcanic pumice, ash, and what do volcanoes normally emit? What is that massive billowing tree of life looking thing that goes up into the sky? The ancient mariners were always so fascinating with. They called it a tree of life. Many ancient mariners looked at it and said, man, it's like a tree of life, looking at a volcano from 400 miles away. So massive plumes of smoke going up into the heavens and then spreading out like branches. So the mesosphere will thicken with moisture. That's what's coming out of volcanoes. Yeah. Moisture, a massive amount of subterranean boiled water turned into steam is what comes out of volcanoes. The heavier matter, the magma, comes to the surface and overspills as lava. Lava doesn't go into the sky. The moisture does. It's what creates vapor canopies, these Vulcan cycles. So this is our hypothetical. It's going to supercharge a greenhouse effect. It's going to bathe our biosphere in a ultraviolet ambient radiation. Ambient radiation is going to be coming from the volcanoes themselves, and it's going to trigger a whole nother megafauna, megaflora growth period. There's my dog agreeing with me. And it's still too hot. I'm not trying to peel my lips off. I burned that coffee. So if everything in the past, 6.5 years doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and that we have just been suffering through this hypervigilance, just one event after another, one report, one new personality, we have been forced to chase personalities. This is exactly what is being done. It detracts from the truth. It takes your attention away from phenomena and actual ongoing events because they're shoving another personality in front of you. Every couple of months, a new personality is raised among the population. His or her face is shoved into the media spotlight, and all the normies and all the collective, they gravitate to him, and that's the next psyop that provides cover for what's really going on. It works so perfectly. They're going to continue to do it no matter how many people wake up. It works that good. Exactly, Nanny. Absolutely. It is a cult of personality. Every headline, every crisis, every unsolved mystery from 2019 and onward all the way till today has been deliberately amplified. They're not trying to censor anything. They're trying to amplify everything. They want massive amounts of awareness on everything out there in the field, and they don't care which one you believe in. They don't care. Everything is staged or spun. It's just into perfect misdirection. This is where we're at since 2019. It's like every single psyop and everything that our controllers have attempted in 150 years of public psyops. It's like they just carte blanche, just unleashed all of them all over again, and at the same time, starting in late 2019. So we're hearing a lot of sirens. That is a fire truck. So the public is wow. I don't know if you guys can hear that as loud as I do. My mic suppresses my mic suppresses the further you are away from it. So, oh, they're now all my dogs. There they go. Can y'all hear that? All my dogs howling at the sirens. So much for a building that has 5 layers of material on the ceiling, on the floor, on all the walls. I spent a lot of money on this soundproof building. Y'all can't hear it? Wow, it's loud. All right, they're done. I hope. So, I mean, through all this, the public is kept exhausted. I mean, didn't they exhaust you? Didn't you get exhausted with the Patriot pacification program and all the hopium that was spread in the field? And then for those who really suffer the woo stuff, man, they had the Galactic Federation people out there talking, and it was a whole bunch of crossover. There's a lot of people attached to the old Galactic Federation days that have really tried to distance themselves, and they're trying to make a comeback. There's a bunch of them trying to make a comeback in social media right now. Several of them have contacted me, and I've had to tell them, man, are you serious? Are you absolutely serious? You just emailed me and what? Yeah, man, no. Hell no. I got people going to bat for all kinds of weirdos out there in the field. Man, I don't even want to name the names. I'm not naming shills on this video. But the public is kept exhausted and divided and distracted all the while. All the while the public is going through these emotional roller coasters, there's black budget trillions flowing into the dumbs, into the underground military, my labs, military bases. NASA as a tax is still funding all these black budget, all these black ops operations and programs because they're not sending anything into space. A massive billions every year is given to NASA, but it's not for space exploration at all. So it's just another tax. All the while, all this stuff going on in the media, and they're not even hiding the fact that they're engaged in intense geoengineering. Oh, we're going to get deep in this video, but I don't believe any of it. I don't believe anything that I'm telling you in this video is factual. I don't think it's the truth, but I believe every bit of it is happening. So we know because they told us that they're building seed vaults. Yeah, we don't have to make that up. They're funding radiation shields. Why? Why? Elite bunkers. It takes a lot to get a billionaire to part with his money. What do the billionaires know that we don't? That would actually justify the expenditure of their wealth in order to build these bunkers. This coffee better be cool. Oh, so good. I needed that. You know what? I'm sorry, guys. I'm just checking me out right now. I'm looking on the screen. I got some. I had grease and oil all over me. I had to change my shirt. I work on my motorcycle myself, guys. You can't rely on those bike shops. I'm going to tell you why, man. Man, oh, I had new fenders installed front and back, and these guys didn't even bolt them down. I don't know what they were thinking. They put them in place, but they never tightened the bolts. Man, I left that bike shop and that front fender fell on that wheel, man, and it just chewed that rubber all the way up. I had to stop and I had to call the bike shop and says, listen, I don't know what the hell you guys are doing, but you need to come get my bike right now. I'm in the middle of the street. I can't go anywhere right now. And the entire front fender has collapsed on the front wheel, and the back one's getting chewed up too. I don't know what it is, man. I don't know if people are all vax injured or what, man. People just, you don't get, if you don't do it yourself, it's just not gonna get done right. It's not gonna get done right at all. Same thing with my van. You remember when I did that video against Caliber Collision? Yeah, executives for Caliber Collision told me, please bring your van. I did a YouTube video was still up. It's still up. But I was so pissed. I did a video right there, because I paid for them to give me a new windshield. All I went in there was to put seals on the windshield. They said, well, we really can't put seals on the windshield without giving you a new windshield. I'm like, man, I don't need a new windshield. And a windshield on a 3500 Chevy Express van is expensive. So I'm like, you know what, man, just do it, man. I can't stand hearing this whistling sound coming through because the rubber is gone. So I had to fix things on my lights and my bumpers, a lot of cosmetic shit. I'll be damned if I go get my van and I do a U-turn, get on the interstate, and as soon as I hit, I go back. I speed. As soon as I get up to my cruising speed of 80, I literally watched the rubber on my brand new windshield, the same area where I was missing rubber before. I watched that thing peel up like a cartoon, curled up like a snail, boop, popped right off my window. I'm like, this isn't happening. This isn't happening. Yeah, man. I was so pissed about that. I did a YouTube video on that. Executives, man, there was so many people just blowing up Caliber Collision from all over the world in my chat section saying, yeah, Jason, don't ever go back there again. Those people suck. Yeah, they destroyed the mom and pop industry. All the little car places that were owned by family. Yeah, they bought them all out. Then they commercialized fixing your car, and now service absolutely sucks. Using cheap parts and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, they told me to bring my van in, and they would fully detail it and service it. I could provide them a list of everything that was wrong with the van. They wouldn't charge me anything. Just take the video down, and we'll have everything right. I told them F off. Oh, man. I went to somebody else, and I paid money out of pocket for what they were supposed to do. I paid twice. But I did that as a matter of principle. No, I didn't take that. I didn't take it back. I didn't put that video up for you to offer me that. But yeah. But when it comes to my motorcycle, I don't take those risks. I don't take those risks, man, because you only got two wheels, and that thing better. Yeah, everything. I go through like pre-flight checks. Oh, I got to make sure those bolts are tight. I got to make sure that tree's tight. All that. Yeah, because I like to speed. So if everything that we have been given by the media since 2019 has done nothing but create hypervigilance, create in us this urgency. We're always waiting for the truth to drop. Yeah, there's nothing in living memory that can compare to how we've been treated by the media since 2019. Nothing. So there's a few instances. Remember, the hypothetical here is attached to a fact. The fact is, we know for a fact, because they told us, that intelligence agencies, what the CIA knows, all the other ones know too. But intelligence agencies are aware and took it seriously that there is an impending cataclysm on the way. And they thought it was necessary to keep it from the public domain until 2013, when they quietly released a heavily redacted version of the original Con Thomas manuscript. So that's the fact. It's attached to the hypothetical that they're aware it's a vapor canopy world. It's the Phoenix phenomenon in May of 2040, which is the subject matter of the Archaics research. They're aware. They know. That's the hypothetical we're dealing. And to preface that, I'm telling you that everything I'm telling you in this video is probably untrue. But I believe every single bit of it. So let us begin. Bradley Roden, you forgot one part. Cat's out of the bag, Billy. Yeah, man, it's taking so much. Got my hands tied. It's taking so much not to say stuff about those guys. Yeah, I feel like Shanta locked me down. That's funny. All right. Let's see. So if throughout the rest of this video, anything that I say, please remember we have attached the hypothetical scenario of a coming vapor canopy world to a known fact, which is the intelligence agencies know that we have a cataclysm impending. And they've been researching it, and their own think tanks have been going through all the data. So taking that into consideration, remember, you guys can't forget the trucker convoys. You can't, why would mainstream media want to normalize trucker convoys? Why? Because the trucker convoy narrative was at the exact same time as another narrative that was really ludicrous. This is another technique. Two independent narratives that these intelligence apparatus will put into social media. This guy here is heavily promoting this scenario. This girl here is heavily promoting this scenario, but they're designed to be understood together. But the causal links are never given to you. That happens naturally by other researchers in the field who make the connections. And that's what empowers the PSYOP. And what I'm talking about is at the exact same time that the media wanted your mind on trucker convoys, they gave you a reason for their existence, even though it wasn't true, that they were patriotic, all the truckers came together for a cause and they're going to do this and do that. No, man. No, they might have come through a cause, but they were marshaled together by intelligence operatives. The trucker convoys were decoy to a real truth, something that was real. It's attached to the other PSYOP. What am I talking about? It's at the exact same time the trucker convoys were being paraded through the media deliberately for you to focus on. Other truthers, especially in the Patriot pacification program that I used to expose all the time, were always trying to tell us that those reports across the United States and Europe and Australia and New Zealand of underground detonations, explosions that were felt by locals underneath them. And there was no seismic activity. There was no earthquake activity. And yet one university did publish that one of the detonations registered on their seismograph. That narrative was that the white hat military was secretly taking out the satanic cabal dumbs to rescue the children from their sex slave networks and shit. So the media told you the absolute truth about trucker convoys, but gave you a reason for their existence: patriotism. They're against the government. The media told you the truth about explosions in the underground and that they are attached to underground facilities. But attached to both of these narratives were things that were patently untrue. They weren't down there blowing up. It wasn't white hats blowing anything up to rescue children. That's the whole children. The more details you add to a lie, the more believable it becomes to the collective. They were clearing out real estate for underground facilities that were taking in a massive amount of surface materials that were provided by trucker convoys. They wanted to normalize people seeing long trains of diesels taking stuff into the middle of nowhere or doing stuff. They wanted to normalize it as much as possible. They literally They literally hid the entire operation by telling the truth attached to half-truths. Sorry about your pop-ups. It's not my doing. I got nothing to do with ads on my channel. Yeah, you guys know I spent 3 years exposing the Patriot Pacification Program, guys. Now look at them. All of them diehard Trump supporters. All of them talking about Trump's going to do this, do that. Trump's just waiting to give the bat signal to the Galactic Federation. Now look at them all eating crow. All of them want to talk about ancient aliens now. They want to focus on other things. They don't want to talk about that. Yeah, they don't want to talk about Operation Warp Speed. They don't talk about any of that. All these guys in the PPP, all over YouTube, man, they've kind of just faded away. Going doing their own things. Where's Tom Numbers at? I ain't heard that dude in a while. What happened to him? Everybody who's ever been a guest over there on David Nino Rodriguez. When is David Nino Rodriguez going to wake up about Trump? Or has he? I haven't listened to him in a long time because it just sickened me. It's just just listening to this dude, another operative, Wano Savin. Oh my God. How could you even listen to this guy? Yeah, man. And listen, I don't know who these people are, but I got several emails of people, professional emails of people telling me it was in my best interest to have 107 as a guest. You ought to hear him out. You know, you should let him address your community. I told them all to F off. Get me to F off. Who are you? You know, I don't even care what alphabet agency you're in. F off. Trying to talk to that dude. So crazy, man. Yeah, man. What I really wanted to do, I just don't have enough time. But what I really love to do is listen to about 100 hours of Wano Saving in 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and take every single thing that was total bullshit and just do a couple videos and just show the public what a moron. Look at this idiot. Remember when everybody was listening to this and hanging on to it and believing? I would love to explore. I don't have the time. I don't have the time for that shit. I'm doing my own thing. But I would love to do it because it would be a fantastic video. And then I would invite him on the channel. Hey man, you remember you said this dumbass shit? Hey, you remember when you attached your name to this stupid ass theory? You remember when you said this was going to happen? Yeah. Well, we're still waiting for that to happen. You remember when you said you're waiting for Jesus to come back? Yeah, I'm trying to hear none of that shit. 107, man, is like a moron extraordinaire. F off, man. Can't even believe David Nino entertains that shit. So dumb. There it is again. That's my catchphrase. So it's just so dumb. So the white hats are going to blow up underground facilities to save children. You know what's really sad is that we've discovered since then that it's the white hats going to Pedo Island to rape children. Just the opposite. The media told us just enough of the truth, but mixed it in with a bunch of bullshit. So sad. So sad. Tyler Rose, I heard that theory too. 107 might have been one of the Kennedys. Yeah, man, that was going around for a while. JFK Jr. So it's just so crazy. So I say the end of 2019. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Wuhan, China. So we have the pandemic. We have global, worldwide lockdowns. So it's a perfect cover. Locking the world down is a perfect cover for a lot of activities. It's a lot. So we had accelerated dumb boring. Yeah, we had accelerated boring all under the United States during the COVID narrative. The military never hid it. They didn't even try to hide it. Hell, there's documentaries about it. It's not even anything that you have to take time searching. There are all kinds of documentaries and videos about how U.S. Air Force boring technology works, and that we've been building these. We've been boring out the United States and building underground cities for a long time. It's not even a secret anymore about the 21 trillion missing dollars from the United States Treasury. We already know where it's at now. Oh, they used it to build the domes. It's not even a secret. You don't have to search for these things. They're out there in the field everywhere. It's not even a secret. So it was during this time. COVID was it was perfect because store chains all over the world came up missing on all kinds of supplies. And you would have thought that the food would have come up short. All these food supplies would have come up short off the shelves of America, but no. People went to panic. This is what we were told. We were told people were panic buying deodorants, toothpaste, soap, toiletries, hygiene items, cologne, perfume. All these items come up short for a good while. And then they rotated different types of foods and they come up short. This food would come up short, and then this food would come up. And they gave us all kinds of reasons why during the COVID lockdowns, all these things came up short. COVID lockdown was a perfect cover for redirecting surface materials and resources into the underworld. Yeah, man, we're going to go panic buy some perfume. Yeah, man, Jason, the apocalypse is coming. I want to smell good. So it's so dumb. Oh, yeah, panic buying toilet paper. Yeah, toilet paper came up short, missing because they filled up whole trucker convoys and took the toilet paper into underground facilities. They stacked up whole warehouses in the underground with toilet paper. It created a real shortage. And then when people found out the toilet paper was short, the media was there to record the panic buying. Yeah. Here we got 3,000 people running out of Walmart with their EBTs and buying their ramen noodle soups, but they got a bunch of toilet paper and the media was there to film it all because they wanted you to believe the shortage was because of the panic buying. But the panic buying wasn't a cause, it was an effect. It was an effect of a shortage that was already there. Everything since 2020 begins to make sense, especially all the supply chain collapses. But it wasn't the only things during that period that came up short. So why did concrete come up short? And steel, rare earths, all the type of things that you would need for bunker construction during this period come up short. What a better way when you only have a finite amount of rare earth materials being released into the commercial sector, and when you only have a finite amount of steel mills being able to produce enough tonnage and product for you, when you only have enough companies that can make reinforced concrete for your bunkers and all that. During COVID, those companies aren't working. Everybody was locked down. Those companies were almost at a standstill. But the rare earth still flowed. Concrete was still needed. Rebar, steels, all these deals. During the 18 months of the lockdowns, those companies thrived. But everybody who needs those companies was shut down. Where did it all go? It's not even construction companies also. It's also the pharmaceutical companies. They require all kinds of smaller companies to do all kinds of things in order for them to function. But people were locked down. Whole small companies just went offline. Remember, a lot of restaurant chains just disappeared, especially privately owned restaurants. They couldn't do it. A lot of people lost vehicles, all kinds of things during that period. Because look, you locked down. But you only need, if no one's allowed to leave but to go to the grocery store and stuff like that, essential workers, you don't need 2 and 3 cars. You don't need to pay insurance on 2 and 3 cars no more. But the insurance companies didn't let up on anybody. You still had to pay insurance on all your vehicles. Yeah, that sucks. Not even using the vehicles. You still got to pay insurance on it every month. So this also begs the question, what the hell was COVID about? You got your theories. One of them, real interesting one, is the evidence of snake venom particulates being inside the vax. That's really interesting. Well, the media focused on all these protests and they on the vaccine hesitancy, debates about the vaccine, and it just kept populations fractured and indoors as underground cities were being finished. To keep the narrative going, you know, the curtains close on one act because most of the public's either buying it or not buying it. So it's time to open the curtains on act number 2. So then they give you more information. Oh, guys, listen. Oh, it's all about the lab leak, the Wuhan, China. Remember back in November and December, we saw those Chinese in those hazmat suits just walking around, fall out. Yeah, there's always cameramen there being able to record all this. Yeah, remember that? Well, it opened up as Act 2 when people started distrusting the whole COVID narrative. They sit there and gave them a antagonist. Now the people who are formerly disbelieving what the government is telling them are believing them now because the government's told them something that they would have ordinarily believed to be true anyway, that this was released as a weapon from China. So now the whole COVID narrative during the lockdowns is perpetuated even more. It's so dumb, as I say all the time. Engineered theater is all it is. So another way to amplify, and they did this as well. Many of you know they did this. In 2020 and in 2021, no one had heard of Archaics, but less than 300 of you in 2020 and 2021. By the end of 2021, I had 1,000 subs. But at that time, Archaics was almost not even on the map. I was doing my live videos, always had 12 to 20 people in there. I got to know them all real well. But it never stopped. I had 300 videos before I even had 1,000 subs. The reason I'm telling you this is because at that time, there was a massive censorship going on. But I didn't trigger any of that. But a whole bunch of YouTube channels got axed because they were telling the truth. They were telling the truth about the vax there. And this is the general belief. But the establishment, which knows that taking your channel from YouTube doesn't silence you. It means it compartmentalizes it into something else the establishment provides. Alt media called BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, Truth Social, Clout Hub. There's a bunch of other venues. So they axed them from YouTube knowing they'd reappear, and they did, and some of them were thriving. Some of them never recovered because it took the air out of their tires. They had a huge YouTube following, huge YouTube channel. Every one of these individuals who got censored tells you today, hey man, they took my channel because I was telling the truth. This is what they tell you today. And in a way, they're telling you the truth. But there's a more sinister interpretation here. If I want you, remember I like to play the devil sometimes. If I was the devil, I'm gonna Paul Harvey you right now. If I was the devil and I really wanted you to know the truth, then I would take all those individuals that you know have been telling the truth, and I would axe their channels on YouTube, because they're going to reappear elsewhere and their followers are going to follow them. But the act of censoring them literally it's reverse psychology, and the collective fall for it every single time. The one who is suppressed and censored is the one who is believed and followed. This is why Graham Hancock's method has always been that of an intelligence agency. You guys know I'm a real critic of Graham Hancock. Real critic, because I know that man would never, ever stand in a debate against me on historical matters because he doesn't know history. He's not even a researcher. He has literally told the public that he pays a research team to do his work for him. And then he pays editors to take their research and put it into books. That's this man, Graham Hancock, who used to work for The Economist, a CIA-backed periodical. So I'm always going to be critical of Mr. Hancock, but it's his modus operandi. That's how he got super famous, because he was astroturfed in, wrote books that went to elite publishers, the best mainstream publishers in the world published his books. But the entire time, every time he did an interview, he cried about how academia and mainstream they fear him and they hate him, so all his material is suppressed. He's claiming suppression at the same time that he's being hyped by the largest, most influential publishers in the world. That's why I tell you all the time, and will continue to do so, that Graham Hancock is a fraud. Every time. I can't wait for the day for somebody to actually drop their nuts and try to debate that. It doesn't have to be Graham. It can be somebody else defending him and his theories. I can't wait for that day. Man, put it on my calendar. He is a fraud of the highest caliber. So that's what happened. Yeah, I feel for those guys who lost their channels. I feel for them. There's a few of them that sometimes I really wish I was in a long dark alley with them for 4 or 5 minutes, because out of the side of their mouth they make some really stupid comments. You know, social media, you can get away with that. You can get away with a lot on social media that you can't do in somebody's face. And what I mean is some of these guys who got axed take offense that Archaics is going strong on YouTube. Why? I was a nobody in social media in 2020 when everybody got axed. Why are you offended by me? There's a bunch of them offended. They've even said it on their own videos and stuff. They're offended. I get to stay on YouTube and all that, and they all got axed. So they always throw those insinuations out there. But well, I was telling the truth. That's why I got axed. Yeah, man, you were, but you were also the victim of an intelligence op, because that is the best way to get people to know the truth, is by censoring those who speak it. And that's what happened. And it wasn't just you. It was like 100 and something channels, big channels, all lost their platforms. But it was by design. I've been telling you guys, they want you to know. They're not trying to hide anything they're doing. So that's how you do it. You aid conspiracy theory about vaccines by censoring the very whistleblowers who are telling you the truth about it. That's how you aid them. That's how you guarantee that people will pay attention to these people, because this legitimizes what they're saying. The act of being censors empowers what is being censored. But it has another psychological component. It empowers the message of those who are being censored. And that's the key here. Because there's an underlying reason for the vaccines that none of these guys knew about. And that's what censoring them actually helps to cover. So the real purpose of the injections won't even be known until human eggs are conceived by human sperm during vapor canopy conditions. Until the return of the vapor canopy with the increased atmospheric pressure, ambient radiation, the ultraviolet light, until that new environment is here, what was in that vax is going to remain a mystery. It's all about the return of the vapor canopy. At the same time that these underground detonations, where they're clearing underground real estate to build new DUMBs, at the same time, the Patriot Pacification Program is telling you that the white hats are down there, military, rescuing children from satanic cabals. At the same time, the trucker convoys are doing all their thing. At the same time that you're locked down, stuck on social media, listening to all this, trying to figure out what's going on. At the same time, people are losing their jobs because they don't want to take the vax. We have the George Floyd protests and the riots. The whole thing unfolded like a psyop. Social unrest is a huge thing. Cities burn from the social unrest, but it's just a military urban warfare exercise rebranded as National Guard deployment. These things are it was used for training. In reality, these are like dry runs for containing future waves of refugees. These are dry, these social, when these things happen, they call in National Guard and military, and they all coordinate to take care of civil unrest. These are practice runs. They're highly choreographed. They're studied ex post facto. They want to see it from every angle, but they're preparing for massive civil unrest and how they're trying to see how much does it take in order to suppress an uprising. What is the minimum amount of soldiers and resources that we need for this size of a population? It's all military exercises. Since 2020, something else started happening. Unlike any year in history, during the trucker convoys, during the COVID lockdowns, during the civil unrest, all the racial strife in America, all happened at the same time. While YouTube blew up with a whole bunch of morons that were all telling us all about Trump and the Galactic Federation and all this crap and children being rescued and underground cabal, satanic empire, having all their substructure taken out. During all that shit, 2020, all of a sudden the skies started having anomalous objects and phenomena. And people like MB333 on YouTube got a lot of his material through 2020. Since 2020, he's like exploded. MB333 has exploded since 2020 because that's what he specializes in, showing all this phenomena. And I'd like to have him on my channel just to show like his favorite 50 clips. That would be badass. But the UFO, UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena, in 2020 exploded across the sky. People were recording things on their smartphones and on their cameras. People were seeing things driving down the road. Unlike any year in history, 2020 exploded with phenomena. But it also exploded with congressional hearings, Senate hearings, all kinds of military intelligence hearings. There was whistleblowers, all kinds of ancient aliens just blew up in 2020. All that. Non-human intelligence. There were disclosures from the Pentagon. There were Pentagon representatives getting up every 2 or 3 weeks, giving us some type of report, as if the military-industrial complex really just gives reports to the civilian community about things that involve the Pentagon. It's so dumb, but they did it because it's a part of the show. They did it because it's a part of the show. What else happened in 2020 that was just really weird? All of a sudden, I'm going to tell you, people all over the world started reporting things, photographing them, and then turn around, what they photographed would disappear. So people all called them conspiracy theorists and frauds and all that shit. But people were dead serious about what they had found, and they know what they saw. They saw these weird steels, like metallic pillars in the middle of nowhere, just appearing, and people would document it, and other people go check it out and look, and after a while they'd be gone. And because they were gone, everybody disbelieved they were over there to begin with. But this happened too in 2020, and it bled over into 2021. But I forgot what they called them, monoliths or pillars or whatever the hell it was. Yeah, but this too. So It's a mainstream media, which has always treated UFOs as comical conspiracy theorists. Mainstream media is now pushing the whole UFO UAP narrative. What happened? Because mainstream media is controlled. So what happened? Why is our attention being directed underground, above the ground, all over the surface? We are being corralled to focus on everything known to man since the beginning of 2020. Everything. It's so crazy. So it's a perfect population management test. Locking people down, forcing them onto social media because they can't interact in public, literally helps them identify the troublemakers. Expand the entire surveillance grid state, already upgraded for post-Canopy monitoring. It also helped normalize, the military presence in civilian life. But think about that for a minute. 2020, unlike any year before, 2020 during COVID, they threw up millions of 5G towers. A bunch of times they disguised them as trees, pine trees, and cactus. 5G towers went up everywhere. 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. Yeah, man. So I'm going to thank you, PLN. I'm going to bring back to your memory. 2020 was just so bizarre. But 2021, it didn't let up. You remember the Suez Canal, Ever Given, the ship Ever Given? I think some people called it Evergreen, but in the Suez Canal, a ship somehow gets caught in the canal sideways, and it's disrupted worldwide supply chains for 6 days. Again, judge things by their effects. Who cares about the ship? Who cares where it was? Who cares how it got jammed? What is the effect? The effect was putting it in the public minds that there's going to be some type of supply shortages. And there were. Shelves were short again in 2021. Why? Because it's being redirected by what? What happened in 2021? They resurrected another psyop. The trucker convoys reappeared in 2021. So it's all by design. All by design. One ship accidentally jams the world's trade artery for 6 days, triggering months of shortages. The story itself is so boring, but the mainstream fixated on it. It's the top story for a month. They fixated. You got to understand, media is like real estate. It's got to be a really big story to capture media attention. And to capture media attention for more than an hour, it's got to be an epic story. To capture media attention for a month, it's a psyop. They talked about this and talked about it, and the public just quit watching. Ratings during 2020 and 2021, ratings for CBS, ABC, NBC, BBC, Al Jazeera, they just started plummeting. And people started watching Fox. People started watching alt media. 2020 and 2021 was the largest consciousness shift in human history. People were forced to be locked down. And they made a conscious decision that mainstream wasn't telling them the truth. So they switched over to alt media. 2021, 2022, 2023 were epic in the amount of YouTubers and the amount of content creators that became captured operations. So many people that you formerly followed, you don't follow anymore, because not only are you not resonating with them, you have seen how they change their opinions, how they change their stance on stuff, how they have completely politicized their channels, and they're not the individual that you remember them to be. 2021, 2022, and 2023, intelligence agencies literally took over social media because everybody quit watching ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, CNN, not Fox, but CNN, and later Fox. But what happened was it was a crisis. And the crisis was damn, we're losing their attention. So the whole Ever Given barge that was in the canal, they spun a story. They just totally spun a story. Oh, we found all kinds of military objective stuff. There was things in those containers. There was children. They threw everything at us. There were missiles in those containers. Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation own that container, and they're moving children from one continent to another. They threw everything out there because they still wanted the collective conscious to be focused on that damn story. But the objective to the story was shortages, which the Western world experienced. So it's just it's so dumb. We should all say it together. I should have a little icon on my screen, like a little bouncing ball from the 1950s. It's so dumb. Yeah, man. Somebody's going to cut that out and do a short. Yeah, man. Again, so they bring to our attention a proxy war. The proxy war is between Russia and the Ukraine. The reality is that the real reality is that in 2 weeks, Russia could have taken all of Ukraine. In just 14 days, if Russia really wanted Ukraine, it would have had it a long time ago. It would have overwhelmed Ukraine. It would have taken out all their defenses in just one pass of about 80 jet aircraft would have gone in there, a whole bunch of missiles going in there, and they would have completely rendered helpless. Then the ground invasion would have been anticipated first with armored columns going in. There is no way Ukraine would have ever defended itself from the might of Russia if Putin would have gone there. But he's just a stage. He's a stage leader. It's a staged war. It's a proxy war, but it serves many purposes. The whole Ukraine-Russia conflict. So it's just a grinding European land war. It diverts trillions in military spending, and it takes up media oxygen. That's what it is. This is a war for the minds of men and women. We're not going to be sexist here, but it's a war for the minds of men, and it takes up media oxygen. This whole war. When there's nothing else to talk about, the media can default back to Ukraine and Russia. And as long as this conflict is ever embroiling, it's always going on, it can serve many other objectives. So it can explain away many other things in the world that need to be explained away. So, but in truth, it's a resource theater. That's the purpose. It's to control the grain. As long as there's a massive war between Russia and Ukraine always going on, and the media is hyping it up, they can do whatever they want with the food shortages, with the allocations, rerouting food to underground facilities. Yeah, it's to control the grain. Massive amount of Central Asian Russian grain is going all over the world, but it's not. But they can make up any story they want to about the allocation of that natural resource and why it's not being sent to different countries in the world, because it's the war in Ukraine stopped it, and that's where people stop thinking. Oh, okay. So our prices over here in Eastern Europe are so high because the war in Ukraine is stopping the grain shipments. So everything can be explained by a war. They can just make up. They can just freestyle all kinds of stuff. The control of energy and energy expenditures. The control of rare earth corridors needed for what? What are the rare earths needed for? Bunkers. They need them for the bunkers and bunker storages, mega farms, shielding tech, radiation shields, all that. So while Ukraine and Russia are in a proxy war, while Ukraine and Russia are getting rid of their political and their social undesirables by putting them in uniforms, running them through training camps, and sending them to go fight each other. While Russia and Ukraine get rid of these undesirables, the actual Ukraine and Russia are building underground facilities. Everybody's in on it. Everybody's in on it. And nobody's really analyzing the data. No one's actually looking and processing all this information, trying to see if there's another explanation to all the stories. Why? Because when we are traumatized through the techniques of hypervigilance, which is what the media uses against us, and as soon as you hear this type of stuff, and people are throwing out possible nuclear winter, possible World War III, everybody shuts down. Once this type of talk about anything nuclear and talk about World War III, the collective, less intelligent individuals default to an emotional response instead of just assessing the data for what it is. Once the media locks you into reactionary emotional responses, it's over. You're on an emotional roller coaster of hypervigilance. After that, they're going to take you on all kinds of rides. You're no longer critical thinking. You're no longer a big picture guy. You're now wrapped up into the particulars of each individual psyop. They got you. So there's all kinds of different techniques that the media can employ to continually draw you back in when they know they're losing you. You have to understand, ABC, NBC, and CBS could never survive without government funding. There's no way. Years and years ago, the networks were in competition, so they reported news stories differently. They don't do that no more. Now, they all say the same things off the same script because they're all captured operations. All of them. And because there's no difference between ABC, NBC, and CBS, the three major networks in the United States, they're all captured operations, and they're all full of it. People quit watching them, but they still exist. How's that possible? Every other television program that doesn't have viewers collapses. So who's continually funding these? How do they draw you back in? Well, all of a sudden, you got a whole new story. Here's something different. We've never heard this before. Something very unusual, anomalous, like a blob, like a pink glowing blob is seen over the United States. It starts a panic. People get their binoculars and telescopes out. Some people are taking pictures of it. It's way up there. And now, because so many people on social media are talking about it, but the media is not, they have to come up with a story. They say, damn, everybody sees this thing in the sky. We don't know what it is. So many people are documenting it. We need to ask MB333 what the hell this object is. No, we don't, because CBS reported that it was a Chinese weather spy balloon. It wasn't just a balloon. It wasn't one of them helium-filled satellite balloons either, like from the Truman Show. No, it was a Chinese spy balloon. By adding the particular of Chinese, it made it believable. Now, whatever that anomaly was, which was probably not a Chinese balloon, whatever that anomaly was, the general Jobo collective now they could shelve it because there was an explanation. It's the same practice that uniformitarians do when they're gaslighting you into believing that something is 530 million years old. Because they'll literally say, well, it's because this rock right here is igneous, and we know that this layer right here dates to 530 million years old. So that fossil that's in that must be at least 530 million years old. It'll gaslight the shit out of you. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's by adding one little detail it makes the lie all the more believable. The spy balloon drifts across the United States, but at the same time, strange drone swarms and sky phenomena spike worldwide. Isn't that interesting? At the exact same time that we have the media telling us that, oh, that's just a Chinese spy balloon. But at the exact same time, we got these sightings are all over the world. But for the United States, it's a spy balloon. It's a Chinese spy balloon. Came all the way over the Pacific and came over here. Well, if it was a Chinese spy balloon, why didn't the United States military take it out before it even got here? How'd that not happen? So it's how you say it? It's so dumb. So dumb. Yeah, drone swarms and sky phenomena, they're just spiking worldwide. But they're just absolutely sure that that one thing that was mystifying everybody over the United States was a Chinese spy balloon. So 2022 and all the way to now, 2026, artificial intelligence has become the thing on the table. It too serves multiple objectives. Multiple objectives. The AI boom, the AI technocratic state, the AI scare, AI theory, all this stuff. It's artificial intelligence is given so many applications, and the media wants you to know them all. Artificial intelligence can do this. We can employ it in deep learning. We can employ it in machine learning. We can employ it in advanced calculus. AI can do things that search browsers can't do. Artificial intelligence can collate a tremendous amount of data from these huge server farms, and it can be an excellent tool for data mining and all kinds of things. AI can develop, a pseudo personality. So AI, they want us to know that it has all these applications, but at the same time, they keep allowing different people to pop up on social media and give us the truth about how AI is going to be the scapegoat for when all these critical systems fail. When all these things go down, they're not going to take, these Fortune 500 companies are not going to take personal responsibility for any epic failures this point forward. That's what whistleblowers are saying. This point forward, they have carte blanche immunity from anything that their AI offspring create, because they can always default by blaming AI is the reason why for certain systems failures. This is where we're going with this. AI is going to be the scapegoat for whatever infrastructure they're going to collapse, or whatever they do, or if there's a data wipe, or if there's a massive attack on the financial structure and we actually lose the records as to how much money everybody has in their bank accounts, which forces the government to rectify the problem with the UBI just to keep things moving forward. So no one's going to care how it happened, because everybody will be broke. No one's going to give a damn about investigations and hearings, and like the liberal Democrats always want to do, let's keep the conversation going, because as long as we're talking about something, we're never doing it. AI is going to be a scapegoat. Almost 2,000 in the chat. That's badass. Yeah, so the Ukraine-Russian war, and now the war with Iran, the United States, the tariffs, political posturing, all of this, it just ensures that like critical minerals flow into black projects and not consumer markets. As long as war is going on, there can be all kinds of trade that the public sector doesn't know about. You have no idea how much is actually being moved in these barges, how much is actually being moved in military transports. Yeah. Ordinarily, it'd be very difficult to move things from country to country, but not if your military's there. If your military's there, it makes it very easy to move things that ordinarily you couldn't get through customs and move it all the way back to your home country. And keep that stuff off NASDAQ. Keep that stuff off all the trade venues. To move resources without the public sector ever even being privy to their existence. Like I said from the beginning of this video, nothing I'm saying in this video is true, but I believe every bit of it. 2024 and 2026. 2024 and 2026. So here's something else that was so dumb. The Trump assassination attempts. So dumb. Political chaos, all the news focusing on ongoing wars. United States first attacks Venezuela. Well, that's a big oil country attached to China. United States next attacks Iran, another oil company attached to China. I showed a video the other day. I don't know why, but the calendrics are pretty strong for China and Taiwan. Why are they connected to the events in the Middle East right now? But they are in the calendar. So it's also on the table that we could very well do a land invasion of Iran. And if we do, it's going to be a new Vietnam, just like Professor Zhang said. I do not disagree with that assessment. But I'm not agreeing for the same reason, because my method is different. My method is calendrics. And in the calendrics, 2026 is a holographic reflection of 1970. And 1970 was the biggest year for the most American troop withdrawals from Vietnam as we were making our exodus. That was 1970. 1971, we were also leaving, but the biggest troop withdrawals were 1970. And we stayed in Vietnam, but not in a war capacity, but as advisors. After we had pulled out, we stayed in Vietnam until the end of the war. But we were basically doing the same thing the French were doing when we got there. They were just acting as advisors. But yeah, so if 2026 mirrors 1970, then we were pulling out in 1970. 2026, we could just start going in. And if that's the case, yeah, it's going to be a long and protracted war. And again, it's going to be another Ukraine-Russia deal. It's going to be total bullshit. But again, it's going to be for the transference of resources through military venues. It's the easiest way to do it. Invade somebody, because no one is going to be looking in your C-130 Starlifters. No one's going to be looking in your military transports, in your military frigates, in your cargo fleets. No one's going to shake you down and see what you're really moving. Yes, Vietnam War officially ended in 1975. Let's see. Oh, that was a gunshot. So it's good theater. It's such good theater. Two attempts to kill President Trump. It's all theater. This is how you create a hero. This is how you create a hero, literally. A massive amount of psychological warfare was conducted on the Christian right, conservatives, the Republican Party. A lot of Democrats fell for it too, and they switched over to the Republican Party. And Trump was vilified for 4 years by the Bidens. He was prosecuted. Every bit of it was psychological warfare, because intelligence agencies, they know the more you vilify and attack someone, the more people are going to follow that individual. Hear them out, listen to them, try to figure out what's going on. Yeah, people fall in love with underdogs all the time. So it also, every time that known evil individuals attacked Trump, it made Trump look like he was the truth. Yeah. They didn't hide all of the duplicity of Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer. They're both known to be absolutely horrible people. But that's what played into their hands. They used that in the media to have those personalities attack Trump. But when people who already know Nancy Pelosi's no good and Chuck Schumer's no good, but they're attacking this guy here, that automatically translates to him that he's good. Why did they do that? Why did they spend years vilifying Donald J. Trump? Why did they spend all this time demonizing him, prosecuting him, building him up to hero status? Why? Because they had a future use for him. And that future use, it's now. Anybody who's watched Trump's demeanor from when he was president earlier for 4 years, as opposed to this presidency, sees it totally different. He's a broken man. He knows he's owned 100%. He's doing exactly what his controllers tell him to do. He's not even owned. He's married into him now. So, yeah. So all this attempted assassinations, it's all BS. It's all smoke and mirrors. It is a part of the hero's journey. Yeah, he defied death. He came out surrounded by Secret Service. He gets to come up and do this. But the Secret Service are trained not to crouch like that, but to stand up and block. He's supposed to be crouching. It was all staged. It was so dumb. Man, I need that little bouncing ball. It was so dumb. I need that bouncing ball. I'm gonna find a program that'll let me do that. I'm gonna find that. I need to find something like that. So crazy. It's all engineered distraction. Every single bit of it is engineered distraction. You guys know this. I don't have to tell you that. The Trump deal, and it's not just Trump, it's other things too, but the news cycle, what it wants to do is keep you focused on personalities. Because as long as you're focused on personalities, you're ignoring phenomena. You're ignoring things you need to be paying attention to. Like I say all the time, we got to judge things by their effects. But we fall in love with personalities until we find things about them otherwise, and we realize we've been duped. Trump is one of those big dupes. Yeah, Trump ended up being a real big disappointment for a lot of people. So it blows my mind that like I don't know, man. Is 107 still around? I don't even know. I don't even follow that. I don't even follow them. I haven't looked at a David Nino Rodriguez video in a year. I'm just sick because he always had 107 on there. Are they still talking about Trump? Are they still holding on that he's playing 5D chess? All that stupid shit they used to say back. Yeah, Trump is a moron. He can't play 2D chess on a flat board. Yeah, he's a moron. But I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know. Can't believe people are still falling for that paradigm. It's so crazy. It's so dumb. So why all the theater? Why does the media want you focused on this? Focused on this attempted assassination? Focused on this damn ship stuck in this canal? Man, focused on these explosions underground? Focused on this thing being a Chinese weather balloon when we got all this other aerial phenomena everywhere too? Why does the media want you focused on all these different things that are going on, these racial riots and all these problems, these food shortages and Ukraine and Russia going at it over here? Why does the media want your attention so divided between all this? I'm going to tell you why. It's one very simple explanation, and it's called continuity of government. Not continuity of government right now. Continuity of government post vapor canopy appearance. Everything being done right now that they don't want you to focus on is laying out the infrastructure of the future. They want to make sure that continuity of government will continue into the vapor canopy period. And the only way they can do that is to make sure you and I aren't focused on present things going on in the field to make that connection. The collective can never wake up to that absolute fact. And they won't. Because until the vapor canopy is even here, 99% of the human population won't even believe a vapor canopy is coming or that we've already suffered through several of them. And we'll get to that too. So building elite bunkers in Patagonia, South America, in New Zealand, they're all being built there. Also, remember those newspaper articles I showed you a couple years ago? Why are you trying to hire 10,000 forklift drivers in Antarctica? What's going on in Antarctica, and why do you need 10,000 employees who can drive forklifts? The pay looked really good too. But they're building underground facilities underneath the ice pack in Australia. Why? I bet there's some 550-year-old maps that'll show us exactly why they want underground facilities in Antarctica. I've showed those recently too. But every new conflict, every new tariff, every new fight, it's just funneling more and more resources underground and normalizing emergency powers. Because everything that goes on in the field, they create a new emergency act. They've been doing that. You know, the NAFTA, was the Patriot Act 1, the Patriot Act 2, man, there's so many of them. I can't even remember. And all they do is take your rights, privileges, and immunities. That's all they do. But, I mean, it normalizes emergency powers that will later actually be used for like Canopy era martial law. And all these activities are just under layers of compartmentalized black projects. But these are the things that we see are the surface, that what the media wants us to focus on, while emergency continuity of government protocols are actually enacted, but they're called something else. This is the doublespeak. They say it in our faces all the time. The UN hearings, the WEF hearings, military announcements to the public when the Joint Chiefs talk. This doublespeak is very useful. It's dual use public programs that look innocuous or even beneficial, but they're not. And they have variant names. And the documents that they tell us about and they read to us in the news and stuff, they have dual headings. They have dual meanings for words. While they tell the public that this program is for such and such, like Greenpeace, or I'll give you some examples here in a minute. But let's just say Red Cross. Every time the words Red Cross come in the announcement to the public, the document really reads, which is only in the possession of the intelligence community, is every time the general says Red Cross, it's really talking about here's a whole new branch of government nobody knows about, and it's all for vapor canopy or post cataclysm martial law effective, all kinds of crap like that. There's a whole bunch of government documents that have this doublespeak. The headings, the chapter headings, and the headings and the key words are not given to the public, the true meanings of those words. Instead, it's euphemisms. They give us meanings that have these really ambiguous interpretations, and you listen to it, you don't think it's all that bad. But yeah, they've been doing that for a long time. But while all these news stories are going on, while we're entertained and bred in circuses, while we're watching all this craziness unfold, these massive accelerated expansions of deep underground military bases are occurring. Cheyenne Mountains getting expanded, Raven Rock. In China, what is it? Yamata. These new mega complexes are being bored under Antarctica, New Zealand, all over the United States. As we sit here and watch YouTube videos and go live all the time and blow up the live chat talking to each other, this activity is continuing over and over. The entire surface world is distracted with psyops while they're doing this. But they do tell us the truth about a lot of things, like these worldwide seed banks, genetic archiving, all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's a place in Switzerland where they got this massive seed bank they're doing. But what about black ops projects like, I don't know, preserving animal DNA from every megafauna capable species being like cryopreserved so post-event zoos and food chains can be rebuilt at giant scale. Imagine that. Imagine that. You do know that some dinosaur bones have yielded forth branch chain aminos and proteins. That's huge. That's huge. Do you think government labs don't have those samples? So ramped up geoengineering and atmospheric seeding programs, chemtrails, the stratospheric aerosol injection fleets, they're still doing their things. What does the media do? They don't do anything. They let us talk about it. Every once in a while, they amplify it because even mainstream media, they don't really talk about chemtrails, but they show them in television commercials. They make sure they put them in your face. All over alt media and social media, people talk about the chemtrails and all that, and we've never really been given a satisfactory explanation. But it goes to show you the power of our controllers. They do not answer to the people. They are spraying aerosols. They're doing all kinds of things, but we don't know what for. A lot of people say, well, they're doing it to poison us because the same people who manufacture those aerosols are paying those companies to drop them on us, and it gets us sick and cancerous, and then the pharmaceutical companies can make their money from. Well, they're already doing that from the food. Cancer's in the food now. So, what if they're doing something else? Why would it be a stretch of imagination that the stratospheric aerosol injections into the sky is something else involving injecting things, trying to contaminate the mesosphere with reflective particles and water vapor catalysts, attempting to control exactly where and how and thick the new vapor canopy will form, creating an artificial with these. Some people say some of the things that are falling from the sky are heavy metals. But that's the case. That's radiation shielding. What if these are R&D projects for growth management? What if they're trying to regulate how much moisture the mesosphere can actually possess? What if they're trying to get ahead of something before it actually happens? And it has nothing to do with trying to poison you at all. I'm not saying they're not. People are getting sick. I don't know. What if it has something to do with the 5G towers and creating some type of electromagnetic shielding against radiation? Listen, I'm just throwing things out there. But sometimes I'm wondering if we're seeing things in a completely opposite fashion. And in order for them to succeed in the things they're doing, they need to throw out nefarious interpretations and allow for the general public to think the worst of what is going on when that's not quite the real story here. So just throwing it out there. Some of you have way better data than I do. I just don't know. So I can imagine right now, we know it's factual that there is a military industrial complex. We further know it's factual that they have scientists in their employ. We further know it's factual that they have whole labs where they're developing all kinds of weapons and defenses and all kinds of things. So would it be a stretch of imagination if they already know a vapor canopy is coming? Do you think they could be developing like anti-mutation drugs and gene therapies? Anti-mutation drugs to stop chicken eggs from hatching into velociraptors. I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, the vax itself, to me, may have something critical that it does, but not in this environment. Those who survived vaccine injury, I mean, that's what the purpose was, not to kill people, but to see who could survive it, because now they're the carriers. Some of them are shedders. But when a vapor canopy returns, that's when we'll see what exactly this whole entire vaccine deal was about. Just throwing that out there. Remember, I don't believe anything in this video is factual or is a fact. However, I believe everything that I'm saying. What about parallel black programs like testing radiation in a controlled environment? Isn't a vapor canopy a controlled environment? Haven't we already seen in archaics that gamma radiation has promoted growth in amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and flora? Haven't we already seen? And there was no negative effects. So what about some of these military labs doing experimentation on controlled radiation, especially gamma, to expose it to plants and livestock, to map out trying to map out exactly what the coming size explosion is and weaponize. Listen, man, I'm not talking about anything theoretical. I have been to Glen Rose, Texas. I have been to the scientific lab. I walked in there and I talked to two scientists, and they sit there and showed me and walked me through the whole facility and showed me that they've got 3 hyperbaric chambers, and one of them is their pride and joy, and it's like 80 feet long. It's huge, and they were so proud to tell me, and I'm telling you now, what I'm about to tell you is public knowledge. But the fact that they know it and I know it and now you know it means that the government knows it too. And what I'm going to tell you is that when they created an artificial field, a construct with its own atmosphere, they increased atmospheric pressure. They replicated the ultraviolet light that would come through a vapor canopy. The sun's above the canopy, but you can't see the sun. But ultraviolet light gets through the water particulates. So they replicated the ultraviolet light. They replicated the atmospheric pressure. They increased the pressure under the vapor canopy, and they increased the CO2 and nitrogen levels that would be commensurate with the vapor canopy world when everything is growing. All the plant life is growing so abundantly. When they changed these 3 factors, beetles, butterflies, dragonflies, insects grew way larger than what they're supposed to in this environment. They did that in Glen Rose, Texas. But the astonishing thing was rattlesnakes. Rattlesnakes that are born under the vapor canopy conditions, their venom is non-venomous. It's non-toxic. Rattlesnake venom is neutralized in a vapor canopy. It's almost like a Garden of Eden scenario where humans can walk around. I love being in my boxers. I run around in my boxers. In a vapor canopy world, you can run around damn near half naked. You ain't got to worry about spiders and snakes and all that biting you and all that. Because for some reason, under the high pressure environment with the volcanic ambient radiation under the mesosphere, the ultraviolet light, for some reason, it neutralizes venoms. This is a huge discovery in Glen Rose, Texas, which means the military already knows it as well. So, what else could these labs be finding out about vapor canopy conditions? Because we've already shown in archaics that, there's no doubt in our mind that the entire history of the world has been scrubbed to the point where vapor canopies have been removed intentionally. So the human population won't understand. And they mask them, calling them dark ages. We had a dark ages in the 6th, 7th, and 8th centuries AD. We had dark ages in the 10th, 9th, and 8th centuries BC. We had a small dark age in the 15th century BC. We had a 300-year dark age in the 23rd, 22nd, and 21st centuries BC. We had another dark age in the 38th, 37th, and 36th centuries BC. They're very well mapped out in archaics. They're almost always 300 years. History of the world is punctuated between dark ages and ice ages. We're in an ice age now. But when a vapor canopy comes, all that moisture at the poles goes back into the mesosphere. It's a cycle. This is why we have 550-year-old maps, many of them that show ice-free Greenland, ice-free Antarctica, and why they all show giant amphibians and reptiles. Why the Native American artifacts and the pottery and the totem poles and the pictographs, all dated to the Dark Ages, show gigantic amphibians and reptiles. Why all the medieval churches were fixated on what we call dinosaurs today, although they called them dragons. Every bit of this is documented in archaics. Why there was giant snails, why there was flying reptiles in the medieval text era. They painted them, they built sculptures of them. There are stegosauruses on Cambodian temple reliefs. Showed this all in archaics. Hundreds of pictures all over the world showing that during Dark Ages, something happens to our world where all of a sudden normal chicken eggs hatch into velociraptors. Figure that one out. What changes? The biggest changes are in amphibians and reptiles and in plants. I'm going to do a video in the very near future on the Voynich Manuscript. I'm going to show you that this is a book dated from the 12th century AD. It's a very old book. But the reason it's misunderstood is because the culture that documented all this is gone. And the pictures are pictures of vapor canopy plants and what people were doing during vapor canopy period. That's why this book is totally misunderstood. Every bit of it. It's not a book from another world. It's not a book from any. It's a book from here. But nobody understood it. I have in my investigations of the origin of this book, I have now found that 700 years ago there were men studying this book trying to figure it out. Excuse me, I'm sorry, 500 years ago. 500 years ago there were men who left us notes and records who were studying this book, the Voynich Manuscript, trying to figure out what it said and what these plants were and where they came from. Yeah. We'll be getting to that video soon too. Yeah, the whole chicken eggs turning into velociraptors, it's not even theoretical no more. They've already done it through testing, called it Chickenosaurus. And when you go back through the historical record, shoot, I mean, you listen, during the Dark Ages period, yeah, the amphibians and the reptiles, they get their payback. Which explains now all the megalithic structures. All these gigantic megalithic structures have never really made sense to us because of their locations. Why would you build formidable fortifications in an area that an army couldn't get to anyway? You're way up on a mountain. You're on a cliffside. Why would you do that energy expenditure to build all this when armies couldn't really siege you and attack you? You built your city at a perfect location. Why? It's never made sense, the megalithic architecture of the giant stuff, but it does make sense. If you've got 10 million Chickenosaurus out there chasing you, you need a good buffer between you and the land of the lost. So, it would be very interesting what's going on in labs. What else have they found, since they discovered that rattlesnake venom is not even venomous under high pressure environment? It's crazy. It's all crazy. So during this period of time, there are many things that happen in the news that don't stay in the news because they report them because they have to. But then they shelve the story, and you'll notice a pattern. There's always some extraordinary event that happens after they report some of the things that they don't really want the public to focus on. They want to redirect your attention very, very fast. One of those things is how many times since 2019 have elite biologists, virologists, scientists, engineers, chemists, and what is it? There's another one I'm thinking of. I don't know what it is, but it's a type of scientist that deals in like theoretical maybe a theoretical physicist, anti-gravity propulsion systems. How many of these people died in aircraft crashes? How many of these people died in a freak car accident? How many of these people were all together on one airplane when it crashed? How many of these people have also been abducted and vanished, completely ghosted? A whole bunch of them. Where are they going? How many famous people aren't seen in the public sector anymore? How many actors and actresses don't make public appearances anymore? But they keep showing old clips of them in the media to perpetuate the idea that they're still around. Some of your PPP agents, your Patriot Pacification Program people will tell you straight up, well, they were sent to Guantanamo and executed. We're not trying to hear that shit no more. We're not trying to hear none of that BS anymore. No. Underground facilities require people to live in them. You can't build a building with plumbing and electricity and then leave it abandoned for 2 years and then think the plumbing and electricity is going to work after that. Just like a vehicle. Leave your vehicle in your driveway for a month or two and then try to start it. Systems, they suffer entropy. There are way too many independent systems all working in tandem together to make an automobile function. Those systems are fragile, but they remain staunch when they're working together over longer periods of time. When you use your vehicle frequently, it infrequently gets disrupted. When you use your vehicle infrequently, your problems with that vehicle are very frequent. So it's the same thing with facilities. You can't build an underground facility and then not have anybody live there. So there are people living in these underground cities as they're being built, as they're finished, and the workers move on to another area of underground real estate and do all that work too. Also remember, I had a theory a while back. I never really went far with it, but I had a theory. I had a theory a while back that something unusual, there was an unusual story about the border in Texas. You know, they're claiming millions of people have come to this border and come in. They're claiming all these things, but at the same time, we have ICE rounding everybody up. I've literally watched an ICE sting on a Home Depot parking lot. They came in there, swooped in there. It's like they knew who they were looking for. And man, and listen, all those Hispanic guys that we used to hang around Home Depots, they don't do that in this part of Texas no more. ICE has kept them away from Lowe's and Home Depot parking lots. I saw a raid my damn self. So fast how they just come in here, got everybody up, shoved them into vans, man, and took off. Didn't ask these guys their names, their identifications, nothing. So I had a theory. If you've got 2.2 something million illegal aliens from Ecuador, Mexico, El Salvador, Cuba, all coming in from the south, and they're passing over the border, but ICE has been cleaning all these areas out of all these illegals. Something's not adding up. So my theory was what better way to get a captured workforce than to have whole facilities with, you got hundreds of thousands of work. They were able to walk through Mexico. They can work. What a better way to draw up some fake paperwork. Yeah, you don't want to tell them the truth. You're a slave and you're never going to leave the underground again. No, you won't tell them the truth. You draw up all your fake paperwork, get them all in there, run them through some prefab offices, have some females in there doing secretarial work because they're really doing the secretarial work, documenting every single person, who they are and all that. And you turned it into you work for us for 2 years. We will pay you this much every week. We will house you. We will feed you. You give us 2 years worth of work, and we will release you into the public with a temporary work visa into the United States. And after 2 years of not getting any felonies in the United States, we will give you citizenship. Every single one will take that deal. Every one of them will take that deal. You can imagine how many hundreds of thousands of people who have disappeared are actually working in the underground in facilities thinking that they've got a heyday as soon as their 2 years is up. Yeah. Listen, guys, I'm a realist. I don't learn too much about this reality to think this world is ever going to be saved. They work for those 2 years. They get in their transports, their vehicles, holding facilities, and they're sent somewhere else, and they end up in a Big Mac. I'm just saying. Like I said, I gave you a warning before this video started. Let's see. I'll drink. Give me another drink. Jamie like that. I'm just saying, guys, we can't ignore once the information has been released into the field, we have to take it in consideration. Yeah, man, it's so weird how all these stores, man, the public is told all the shelves are in it. Resource hoarding and supply chain militarization. We're told the shelves are empty of this. Campbell Soups for a while. Oh, we have to recall 50 million cans of green beans because 2 of them were found with something in them. No, man. In the real world, it's buyer beware. In the real world, the media would put it out there. Hey, be careful if you're getting your stuff from Aldridge Farms or whatever, and it's green beans and it's dated this to this. 2 cans have already been found. So that's in the real world. These things. This is how things would be conducted, not recalling 50 million cans because a minority of them showed something bad. Now it's buyer beware. They're not going to do all that. They're going to send those 50 million cans somewhere else. So with all these things going on, I can envision, I'm not saying this is true. I'm just saying I can envision with the entire world being a captured operation by the very elite who actually know what's really going on, that we're about to enter the present ice age is going to collapse, and it's going to be very, very fast. We've been told all about global warming and all this whole BS like that, and they're really telling us the truth, even though there's been almost no evidence that the world is warming up. There's more evidence that it's getting colder, but that's only because that's only for the final shocks before a total reversal, a flip. It could be something as simple as a temporary magnetic reversal that causes the whole vapor canopy ice age switchover. But whatever is the cause, the changes are absolutely rapid, as we've seen, because it always creates what? Fossils, petrification, which we've shown in archaeans are what? Very, very recent. Very recent. Now, this is why petrified footprints, fossil footprints of humans, 3-toed avian dinosaur-like creatures, and vehicle tracks are all on the surface, while dinosaur bones are underneath the surface. And underneath those, at deeper levels, in coal seams, are whole human communities and all their artifacts and parts. Go figure that one out. If you're a uniformitarian, there's no way to figure that out because you're in a box, like Randall Carlson. You're trapped in a box. But I can imagine, because the entire world is a captured operation, all its militaries are captured. Everything, the theater of war is all staged. Ukraine, Russia staged. United States, Iran, Israel staged. Iran's bombing the shit out of all the areas that Israel wants to be leveled anyway for their Greater Israel project. United States isn't doing anything of military value. So, well, it's all theater. It's all theater. With all the militaries actually being captured, and the people at the very, very top are actually working together, what do you think happens with these badass, hyper advanced submarines? I don't even know what the new submarines are. I was impressed with the Ohio class and the Titan class and the Los Angeles class submarines. Those were badass. They could shoot nuclear and tomahawks, and I don't even know if nuclear is real. But I do know this: the submarines are awesome. But you know what? If I was the devil, Paul Harvey again. But if I was the devil, I would retrofit all my submarines with massive capacity to be mobile command posts, just like the Terminator movies. just like the Terminator. You couldn't have a better mobile command post than a submarine, being able to do all kinds. And if you're in an undersea habitat or in a submarine able to move around, you're in the safest place in the world when the vapor canopy returns. Safest place in the world. That's what I would do with the submarines. I would turn all of those into mobile command posts, because they're not needed as submarines anymore. You're not fighting anybody. It's all staged. All the militaries are owned by the same people now. If I was the devil, I would conduct military urban warfare exercises, but to the public, I would reframe them as disaster relief. I'm going to repeat that. Think back to New Orleans. Think back to North Carolina, what recently happened after a hurricane. Think back to the Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. If I was the devil, I would conduct military urban warfare exercises against the people, but I would reframe them so in the media, people who are outside the areas that I was doing this, it would be called disaster relief. That's what I would do. All these missing physicists and missing doctors and all these MIT, all these people. Yeah, they're not being abducted. They're being given really badass, posh places and underground facilities. And they're continuing their work down there. Selective conscription and national service programs. They're all being ready to funnel young people. Like funneling young people into positions to learn things that a lot of the older people know right now, but the young people are the ones going into the facilities, not the old people. Some of them going into labor battalions for vapor canopy era reconstruction. All of it's already funded through black budgets. We know black budgets exist. We already know the money's there. We already know how many billions and trillions ended up missing in 9/11, missing from the Pentagon. It was recently reported 21 trillion was missing from the Treasury. Okay, cool. We already know what it is. You got to pay for those underground facilities, and you got to continue to pay for them to operate. And I mean, it's not even a secret anymore. They don't even try to make it a secret anymore. They just don't. But if I was the devil, pandemic preparedness. That's another one of those catchphrases. Pandemic preparedness, slush funds, climate emergency appropriations. They're all deliberately mislabeled. They're literally funding for vapor canopy era technologies. It's all doublespeak. The entire climate narrative is all doublespeak. Global warming, just change it for vapor canopy. And what's the beauty of the deception is that just like NASA was highly compartmentalized to only the people at the top of the pyramid even knew what was really going on, while everybody in NASA in 1966, 67, 68, and 69 in the Apollo programs, everybody, 99% of NASA really believed they were sending men to the moon. Even the astronauts themselves went through the real training. Well, the training that they thought it was real training. Had the floats put up their butt and inflated, and I had all the pressure and all the different tests they went through. But they were always interviewed, and they became celebrities. They were happy, they were excited. Yes, they were. until it was revealed to them that it was all psyop and they had a patriotic duty as Freemasons and American citizens to shut the hell up and play ball. And we got to see what those faces looked like on their very first media interview after they came back from the battleship called the Moon. When they came back from the naval vessel, the Moon, these men were not happy. Yeah, some of these men had swore on a Bible that they were going to the moon, and now they had to eat crow. They were not happy men in that video at all. Total information lockdown via classification levels. That's how they do it. That's how they deceive the public. Because the very people involved in the PSYOP often believe that it's really happening. They're really working for an agenda. They don't even know. They don't even know what they're doing as a part of a PSYOP. They have no idea. They're just doing their jobs. But as long as you keep everybody independently functioning and highly compartmentalized, you at the top can negotiate and you can make everybody believe exactly because they're contributing. But if you create a classification, like if you create classification levels, it becomes illegal for people in some departments to talk to other departments. There can be no sharing of information. When you have 9 or 10 different departments that cannot share information with each other, but they must all move the data up to the next tier, it's the next tier that gets the data and begins to put it all together, making sure that the tier below them can never communicate and never actually realize that what they're involved in is total bullshit. This is how NASA functions. This is how a lot of organizations function. I'm pretty sure SpaceX functions the exact same way. It's so dumb. It's crazy. So, what's going to happen before 2040? Well, I'm going to tell you, increased volcanic activity. Undersea volcanoes, maybe even Yellowstone. We're going to see increased volcanic activity. But it's not even going to, no one's even going to wake up. The reason they're not going to wake up is because the media is going to show a volcano going on underwater. And they're going to show this massive amount of water vapor coming out from the sea, going into the sky, spreading out, and they'll show it for maybe 2 or 3 days, and then they will engineer an event that will provide a cover story, and it's gone. Nobody's thinking about the volcano again. When the next volcano goes off, they'll do a little minor reporting on it, but then other events in the field, they're going to direct our attention away. They'll always report the volcanoes, but they're going to report them as isolated events. They're never going to let the public put the full picture together. When the skies begin to stay cloudy and not cloudy, but vaporous, when the skies in the mesosphere begin to take on a different color and become thicker, creating a greenhouse effect. It's not going to cool the world. It's going to create a greenhouse effect. Sunlight will be coming through, and then the heat's trapped under the vapor canopy. The mesosphere gets heated up, and that warmth comes down from the sky. And the more moisture builds in the mesosphere, it creates more atmospheric pressure. Before 2040, there may be incidents where people just take a picture in social media, and it's a gigantic clover or a huge mushroom. Flora and fauna will already be reacting on a genetic level, on a microscopic level, to the returning vapor canopy. But the censorship apparatus will be in full overdrive. You'll get fact-check little deals. This picture was enhanced in size by AI. The type of AI used to enhance this size was doing bad. Yeah, somebody comes across, some snake eggs. They know for a fact that is a boa constrictor egg. They know for a fact because it was their boa constrictor. But when that egg pops out, that's a long serpent-like body with 4 legs. That's not a boa constrictor anymore. So We're going to have all kinds of incidents like that. But they're going to report them only as isolated, and they're going to have their fact check bots on social media basically dismissing everything. What they're going to do. This is the world we're moving into right now, because vapor canopies appear very fast, and there's only going to be a few years of incidents that give it away that something major is about to change. Yeah. When you go to the grocery store and everybody's running out of that grocery store and they don't have any groceries on there, you know we hit the tipping point, and that the produce section is acting wild, and in the milk and egg section, there's velociraptors coming out those chicken eggs. You already know. This is the world we're moving into. Sounds crazy. I get it. Absolutely. So we're going to have satellite data. The media is going to show us all kinds of arbitrary bullshit, edited satellite data showing mesospheric water vapor spikes. The reports are going to be scrubbed. They're going to be redacted. They're going to say this is normal polar mesospheric clouds. This is what scientists do all the time. Yeah, when they find a geological phenomenon that's very different, they can't figure out how this human skeleton got underneath this layer here when this right here is an Allosaurus. This is a giant reptile called an Allosaurus. It lived 64.5 million years ago, but it's on a layer of strata, and there's a human femur. There's a femur right here and a tibia, and you know this right here is the lower jaw of a hominid human. So, trying to figure this out, they will gaslight the shit out of you, and whatever that layer is between them, they will make up a name, because this is what uniformitarians do. If there is an anomaly, they will make something up instantly, and then the rest of the scientific world will run with that in the peer review stuff, just like when they did when Kathleen Kenyon invented pre-pottery Neolithic. They couldn't figure out why some of these advanced civilizations never invented pottery. And they couldn't figure out why really primitive civilizations have pottery. They're making pots. So the uniformitarians were trying to reconcile these things. They couldn't, because the actual archaeological data shows that some advanced cultures just never invented pottery. Other primitive cultures that were Neolithic or Neo-Neolithic had advanced pottery, but their whole culture was very primitive. This doesn't make sense to the uniformitarian. They have to have everything in sequential order over long periods of time. And the invention of pottery must have taken 50,000 years. This is what uniformitarians are taught to believe. So when Kathleen Kenyon had found a site that had pottery and all that, she just one day was talking to another person and she called it pre-pottery Neolithic. And that shit spread like wildfire through the scientific community. And now every site in the world that is found with or without pottery is gone by this stricture. And it's so dumb. So dumb. I've been telling you guys for years that every new discovery pushes the date to Göbekli Tepe closer and closer to us, not the ancient past. They have misdated Göbekli Tepe from the beginning. And it's all because it was found buried. But they found other Tepe sites nearby that show that these people were the survivors of a cataclysm. They have now found writing. And since they don't want to push writing back to 8000 BC, but Göbekli Tepe, they still haven't redated it to conform to the Proto-Sumerian writing, because that's what it was. They found writing in Göbekli Tepe, but they still haven't changed the date. They have found 3D boar effigies at Göbekli Tepe that are identical, perfect matches to the same artwork and same boar artwork from ancient China, dated only 3,000 years ago. I told you guys, I've been telling you, they're going to make more and more and more discoveries proving that Göbekli Tepe is nowhere near as old as they said, because the bird cult effigies, the anthropomorphic pillars with the straight elbows but the four long fingers folded over the pillar, are identical to Easter Island. I showed this too before Jimmy Corsetti stole that and told his community he had made these discoveries. But yeah, he took them straight off one of my videos and then repackaged his own little video and tried to make it look like he's the one that made all these correlates between Easter Island and Göbekli Tepe. Listen, Easter Island's only 3,600 years old. All this whole civilization here. Göbekli Tepe is nowhere near that old. It's not 8,000 BC. So that's what they do. They're going. Geologists are going to invent whatever that layer is between the Allosaurus and those human artifacts. Yeah, they're going to invent something. Well, this right here is sedimentary hydroplasty, and they're all going to go, oh, that's what that is, because they now the uniformitarians have an explanation that they can use against the catastrophists. Those are the only two scientific models of thought. You're either a catastrophist or you're a uniformitarian. So that's what they'll do. They'll invent something. They do it all the time. They just make up anything unusual in the sky. They'll make up a name. They'll run with it, and then that's the name. That's what it is from now, as if the name itself defines the anomaly. It's so dumb. Let's see. The more and more people in the next coming years, more and more aerial phenomena are going to occur. More and more biological anomalies are going to appear in the field. More and more amphibian and reptile and avian eggs are going to start producing things that are not necessarily like their genetic parents. This is going to happen more and more the closer we get to the vapor canopy period. There's going to be more seismic activity. There's going to be more volcanism. There's going to be more atmospheric changes. And the more people document the strange things that are happening in the sky and in the sea, and the strange things falling out of the sky, like fish and insect swarms and red dust, red rain, red mud, things that are attached to the Phoenix phenomenon every time this happens. The more people report these things on social media, the more that the AI-controlled fact-checker bots are going to isolate them as bullshit. You're going to have all these little tags talking about, oh, this is not true. Oh, no, this right here is dust from the Sahara. The dust from the Sahara is white. It's white. It's white and golden sand. But every time red dust falls anywhere in the world, they say it's Sahara sand. There isn't enough sand in the Sahara to provide all the dust that they've been reporting for the past 150 years. Charles Fort addressed this in the 1930s. He said that's what the media always tells us. It's dust from the Sahara. He said this 100 years ago. He says it's dust from the Sahara. But the red dust and red rain and red mud that falls all over the world in the weirdest times is not that color. So dumb. I love Charles Fort. Love. So when true anomalies, like somebody walking in a forest and they find a whole copse of trees that are just megalithic, gigantic, and then somebody studies them and realizes, holy shit, these just grew in like the last 3 years. Look at the size of these. What happened here? Why is this area in its volcanic rich soil on the edge of a volcano? Remember, we've already showed in Archaics that ambient radiation coming from volcanoes makes humans and insects and plants grow to huge sizes. So we're going to come into contact with more and more of this activity the closer we get to a vapor canopy, which is really close. We're within 14 years now. But your fact checkers and your AI armies of fact checker bots, every time people report these things, it's going to be called deep fake conspiracy content. They're always going to have an answer for everything. Every single bit. So as we get closer and closer to a vapor canopy, we might have some volcanic resurfacing like what happened in India. It's called the Deccan Traps. But everything like that, if Yellowstone might detonate and kill a bunch of people in the western United States, there may be fault activity in California, and a whole bunch of California just goes into the Pacific. I don't want to doomsay here, but it doesn't matter what it is. We could have a single volcano in Ecuador detonate and kill everybody in 400-mile radius. It doesn't matter what the event is. As we get closer to the return of the vapor canopy in May 2040, every single natural disaster will be reported as an independent natural disaster. The media is not going to let you turn this into a chain of consequence. They're not going to. They're going to present everything. They're going to have their scientists get on there and their geologists get on there and pontificate and show you why there's absolutely no causal, there's no correlates, there's nothing connecting this event to this event, nothing. things from the sky, things under the ocean, things that happen on land, areas that begin to experience upheaval. Other areas will suffer subsidence. All over the world, there's going to be changes documented leading up to 2040. It's going to happen. It happens every cycle, but they're all going to be treated as absolutely independent and not a part of any universal cyclical scheme such as promoted in archaics. They're not going to. So it's not like that our controllers have. It's not like this isn't something they've done before. They have. That's where we've got it wrong. So they provide peer-reviewed official historical narratives that omit all references to past vapor canopy periods. So sometime in the past, when they were rewriting all the historical records, they preserved a whole bunch of the records that we know in archaics were absolutely correct. You can chronologically and chronographically verify them. We do it with a calculator all the time. But then there's other periods for which they completely scrubbed what really happened during those periods, and they provide us a description euphemistically called Dark Ages in the historical record. There's 4 or 5 of these Dark Age periods in the last 5,800 years. It is these Dark Age periods that they've completely lied to us about what was really going on. They're not Dark Ages, they're vapor canopy periods, which now makes sense of a lot of ancient mysteries that we've never been able to get our hands around. And we're very technologically advanced today. We're advanced in our theological and philosophical systems. We have taken industry and basically advanced to the point where we can make micro versions of everything that we have in the macro in engineering. We are badass at innovation. But when it comes to our own history that we live through, we can't remember all these things. And when we find archaeological ooh parts, out of place artifacts and enigmas and anomalies in the historical record, we find things that do not make sense. The reason they do not make sense is because our version of events has been contaminated. These weren't Dark Ages, they were vapor canopies. Once you understand what the world is like during a vapor canopy, all these mysteries that everybody's posting online claiming they're mysteries aren't mysterious anymore. There's nothing mysterious about megalithic structures, dolmens and cromlechs and menhirs. None of that's under vapor canopy civilization. None. There's no mystery about the mythological record, and that after every single worldwide reset, the first thing that happens is fleets of ships come in and they start civilization all over again, as we've shown in archaics. It is the pattern. It's not an exception. It is a very well established pattern. So they've buried the history. They've buried the history using the peer review process. They have created academic peer-reviewed official uniformitarian historical models that deliberately cause you to date vapor canopy flora, vapor canopy fauna, and vapor canopy humans to millions of years in order for you to obfuscate the truth. And those who are trained under the uniformitarian model actually believe that model. And they believe in dinosaurs 65 million years ago. Yeah, they believe that men are descended from apes. They believe in the natural selection. They believe all that shit. They believe that you can date geological strata by the fossils that it contains. It makes sense. But they also believe that fossils are dated by the strata they're found in. That's circular reasoning. Doesn't even make any sense. Hold on. It's so dumb. But this is what the uniformitarians are trained. And by extension, everybody's trained coming up in their education that this is the model. And it's so dumb. It's so hypocritical. But when you have scrubbed history and you have provided a false narrative and you've educated everybody on that false narrative, and you fill museums up all the way around the world with creatures that you don't even have the bones for, it's all plaster, then of course, absolutely, you can push that narrative. So I don't believe in the dinosaur model at all. Not in the 65 million year KT boundary bullshit. I don't believe in all that. But I do believe that we have periodically had gigantic reptiles and amphibians, and many of them look like Stegosaurus, Triceratops, Allosaurus, Brachiosaurus. Yeah. So that dinosaur model I agree to. But in the vapor canopy world, what's born from eggs, it is the parthenogenetic process that changes everything. And this is what's been hidden from us. In the parthenogenetic process, amphibian, reptile, avian, and fish eggs born under a high pressure ultraviolet air, environment don't produce the same creatures that laid those eggs. Those creatures come out as something else. And then when they lay eggs, they're going to be something different than the creatures that laid those eggs. Their parents going to be different. Yeah, these giant reptiles and giant amphibians were just experienced by us during the Dark Ages, and we have all the proof. One of my moderators posts my 3 or 4 videos showing all that evidence about the Dark Ages being absolutely packed with what are supposed to be prehistoric creatures, even up to the Middle Ages. It's some very compelling material. It's awesome. So this we have another scenario unfolding. The government is not stupid. And what I mean is the people that control the government. They have a trump card. They have a trump card. There's going to be a point of critical mass when the AI fact-checking bots are not going to be able to stem the flow of the incoming data from all over the world that plants, animals, and even people are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and very rapidly. We're talking about within the next 14 years. There's going to be such a tidal force of data coming in that they can't gaslight us with censorship anymore. But they've already got a trump card in play for that. I'm telling you now, I gave you my warnings at the beginning of this video. I'm telling you now, they're going to tell us that an extraterrestrial civilization is going to terraform our world. They may even mount up a terrestrial army from people of all nations of the world. They may even do an independence style media press deal showing us what one of these aliens look like. Be one of David Icke's lizards. And then people all over the world unify under one flag, under one banner, under one cause. All the evidence is already around us. Our world is turning into a reptilian amphibian world. Shockingly, it's also discovered that our oceans aren't rising, but the ice caps are almost gone. How is that possible? Because Jason of Archaics told you that's the cycle. The ice caps melt, but the water goes into the mesosphere, empowering, thickening the vapor canopy. Guys, I didn't invent vapor canopy. On my channel, I've already shown 4 scientific books that talk about our world once had a watery canopy. The difference between my research and theirs is going by the chronological materials that I've had available through my life. I have published that we have been through 4 canopy periods in the last 58 centuries. One of them was very short, it was 25 years. So it's the water, you're right, it's the waters above, Jasmine. So they're going to gaslight us with the whole extraterrestrial deal. It says, guys, we've been trying to keep this from you for long because we didn't want anybody to panic, but it's quite obvious now. We need you to know that this object here in the sky is extraterrestrial. We reported it last year or 2 years ago, and we told you it was passing through our solar system and that it looked like a giant UFO. And we had our expert, what's his name, Green? The UFO dude, Green. He's just another government agent. Can't remember his name. We had him, tell us about it in the trajectory and telemetry and all that BS. But as the changes in the world become more and more rapid, they're going to blame They're going to blame extraterrestrial species. They're going to say an extraterrestrial species is the one terraforming right now. And then when the vapor canopy is here in full effect post 2040, yeah, and all these lizard men start showing up from the underground, they're all over the surface world now. The reason why they're getting ahead of it with that demon face disease stuff I showed you in another video, trying to say that if you see somebody turn into a lizard in front of you in your face, it's not them, you're the problem. You have a disease. Yeah, I showed that video too. It's crazy. They're trying to get ahead of it. So in my parthenogenesis and my tertiary field, Nemesis X videos, I have explained to you that when the tertiary field is here, anybody who is not in their natural state cannot hide. Once the tertiary field overlay is here, there's no tertiary field here right now, so they can shape change and they can be anything they want to be. And as long as they don't get real emotional, they can maintain that illusion. But once that tertiary field here is here, and the tertiary field is a amphibian, reptile, and avian field, Nemesis X field. And when it gets here, they can't hide. They are solidified in there. This the holographic overlay is gone. They are going to be reptilian. If they're reptilian, they're going to be reptilian, which leads us to what they put in on the COVID narrative, what they injected into people, what's been said to have been injected into people. What happens to those people when they have kids in a vapor canopy environment? Because remember, all the effects aren't in real time. When a vapor canopy appears, a chicken's going to be a chicken. It's not going to be it's not going to grow an inch. It's going to maintain the same size. But the tertiary field brings parthenogenetic changes. When that happens, a chicken lays an egg, but it's not a chicken that comes out that egg. It's something else under the tertiary field. And then when that thing grows up, it becomes something else. So anyway, they're going to gaslight us. They're going to tell us extraterrestrials are trying to terraform our world. And this is how they're going to bring the world together. Overnight, people are going to quit thinking about being Indian and Pakistani. Overnight, they're not going to worry about being inner city Chicago and being white suburbia. Overnight, everything changes because the evidence that the government is telling us that an alien species is going to try and take our planet. That's what they're going to tell us. I believe in planes, but still, they're going to gaslight the population and say, man, they're here to take our planet. And they're already using scientific methods to terraform our world. From that narrative, they are able to guide the nations and the populations of the world in any direction they want to go. Yeah. Absolutely. They'll turn around and produce aliens that have been captured. They'll show interviews on social media where they talk to the aliens. They'll have leaked whistleblower stories about captured craft and different alien species. And then they'll turn around and introduce an even worse deception. And the worst deception is they will introduce a second alien species and then gaslight the population of the world into accepting this species as enemies of the ones trying to terraform our world. No alien species is trying to terraform our world. It is from the tertiary fields of Phoenix and Nemesis X that all the changes are being caused. But the changes being caused, they're going to utilize that. There's no way they won't. If I was the devil, I would absolutely utilize the Phoenix phenomenon to perpetuate my deception over the human family. Absolutely. There's no way. It's the same thing that happened when the Tuatha De Danann invaded ancient Ireland and they needed to defeat the Furbolgs. They had to. In the first battle of Moytura, they got their asses handed to them. In the second battle of Moytura, they landed their fleets in the month of May, 1135 BC. And all the Tuatha De Danann shamans did their little dance and all that stuff, and the sun darkened and the moon turned red, and there was things falling out the sky, and the Furbolgs were terrified, and the Tuatha Danann won the Second Battle of Moichura, but it was a Phoenix phenomenon that did that. Same thing in the Book of Jasher. When the Israelites were outnumbered, they waited weeks after their sister Dinah was kidnapped by the men of Shechem. The 7 armies of Canaan came out after they killed the men of Shechem, chopped off their things, and then outnumbered against 7 nations of Canaan when they were just one family of Israelites. They waited for the specific time, and them and their retainers and servants took on the seven armies of Canaan when the sun darkened. And there was a mighty earthquake, and then stones fell from the sky. And the Canaanites thought it was the might of the Israelites that caused that to happen. It's the same phenomenon that Atreus used to win the throne from his brother in Argos in Mycenae. He was an astronomer. His brother was a warrior. Both of them were fit to be king, but the people chose Atreus because he accurately predicted the darkening of the sun, which is the Phoenix phenomenon. It's not an eclipse. It's not an eclipse, as I've shown many times. One of the 7 old wise men of Greece became super famous, Thales of Miletus, an Ionian, and he became super famous because 2 years before it happened, he predicted the darkening of the sun. It was not an eclipse. It has gone down in the historical record as happening in the Phoenix month, the month of May. So it's not, it's been used over and over in the past. It's been weaponized. The knowledge of the Phoenix return, it's been weaponized. So here it is coming up on 2040. It's going to be weaponized again. And they're going to have the population of the world believing that an extraterrestrial species is already turning the world into a world that's conducive for giant reptiles and amphibians. And when these creatures begin appearing everywhere, we're going to be gaslit into saying that the extraterrestrials are depositing Stegosaurus and Triceratops and Allosaurus and Velociraptors, but it's not true. The parthenogenetic changes actually has all these creatures reappearing in our world because the DNA of a dinosaur is in a salamander. It's in a lizard on your fence. That lizard's in a temperate, non-pressurized environment. Put that lizard in a vapor canopy environment, and that lizard's going to lay eggs that hatch into Komodo dragons. Yeah, it's all in the programming. Let's see my notes here. Yeah, man, we are deluged. We are deluged with all kinds of ideas and theories. I mean, think about it. Like Yuval Harari, what's his name? The WEF guy. He's always talking about euthanasia and depopulation and all that. Bill Gates wants to kill everybody. Do you realize how dumb it is that Bill Gates, he's like a CIA operative, Bill Gates, a computer nerd who specializes in computer viruses, is the main spokesman in the world for medical viruses? It's so dumb. It's just so dumb. They want you to fear these things. They want you to talk about these things. It's all smoke and mirrors for what's really going on. They want you to think that the vax was implemented for population control, and I don't think it was. I think they're getting ahead of something else. Then again, this is my video. I'm entitled to my opinions. We hear about the men in black all the time, but I'm going to tell you now, those men in black adjustment bureau types, they're not the upper echelons of intelligence. They're not. When you hear about those, that's really a lower tier of intelligence apparatus trying to get ahead of something. They're trying to figure something out. The people that are in the know don't need any of your information. They don't need my information. They already know. This is thousands of years old of recorded phenomena. They already know all this. But the men in black types that appear and jam up different researchers and jam up inventors and all that, or CEOs for companies. Yeah, when you hear about these stories, men in black and government agents and operatives. These are lower echelon intelligence operatives who have been sent to harvest information. And this is the scary part. It's because a lot of the low key players are not in the loop, but they have enough data to understand there's something big coming. So they're trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure out, why are they on the outside looking at? Why does the Office of Naval Intelligence know something big is coming, and they all doing these behaviors that don't make sense to us, engaged in all these programs that make sense? Why has my finger of intelligence over here not, why has my FBI office not been told? Yeah, when you hear about those MIB and Men in Black and government agents and stuff, no, that's an intelligence apparatus that's trying to find out something for themselves because they know something's afoot, but they're just not high enough on the tier. Because I'm telling you now, what is known has already been known for a very long period of time, and they have and with the technology that we have available today, there's nothing you do, say, or you do on your computer that's a secret. Yeah, it's not just your search histories. It's even when your computer's off, it's monitoring all your conversations, every single thing you've ever done in your life, anywhere around a computer, especially your phone, is documented. Every bit of it. There's no reason to send people to you anymore unless they're lower tier, just trying to figure things out. Just like we are. That's it. So if I was the devil, the whole climate change agenda would be just a cover. I know the climate's changing. I know a vapor canopy's coming, but I'm going to gaslight the whole world into thinking it's just climate change. Just something as simple as climate change, which isn't a lie. That's what makes it so beautiful. It's not a lie. Climate change is real. The history of the world. It's either ice age, which we're in right now, or vapor canopy. How do we know we're in an ice age? Because 500-year-old maps of Greenland and Antarctica show it ice-free, with trees, with plants, with animals. People 500 and 550 years ago drew some very nice maps. I've showed them on my channel. The whole 2030 concept and all that, net zero, is so dumb. It's the exact opposite. Every bit, net zero, the Green New Deal push. It's reframed though. This is what the public is told: the Green New Deal and the whole push for net zero. This is what the public is told in the speeches by the WEF and by different, like the Environmental Protection Agency and all that. But the internal memos, that's where they're going to be preparing critical infrastructure for vapor canopy environment. It's all double speak. What the public is told is not what the actual memos mean. But there's only a select few at the very top that actually know what the actual accurate interpretations for the doublespeak. So Green New Deal is going to mean something else. Net zero is going to mean something else. And the whole public is just embroiled in controversy and over shit that's not even real. Yeah, at all. Fossils, gigantic remains of creatures and humans, and petrified footprints and fossil vehicle tracks, out of place artifacts, unusual petroglyphs, totem poles that have been found from Native Americans, megalithic architecture. It's all framed in uniformitarian prehistoric dating to hide the truth of its vapor canopy origin. They got ahead of this 150 years ago when they deviated from catastrophism and created the whole uniformitarian model. They got ahead of all this. They made sure that generations were miseducated. People will foam at the mouth defending that they were descended from an ape. They will foam at the mouth trying to defend the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. When human artifacts are found deeper than dinosaurs, they're still going to gaslight you. It doesn't matter. It's so dumb. So dumb. So if I was the devil, that's if I was the devil. I'm not the devil. But if I was the devil, I would make the I would tax the shit out of them so I can make them spend so much money on a technology called wind turbines that will have no effect in the future after 2040. I will fill the land with these massive towers with all these heavy metals and terrible components that toxify the soil and yeah, won't decompose. They're terrible. They change the energy of the land. I will put millions of these wind turbine towers all over their countries, and I will get them dependent on electricity produced by wind turbine towers when none of that's going to function in a vapor canopy. Yeah, if I was the devil, that's what I would do. I would push solar energy to where congressional legislation in different states legislators would pass mandatory minimums and pass all kinds of laws forcing the private sector to use so much solar energy as opposed to fossil fuel or natural gases and stuff like that. I would force solar energy on the population, knowing that when a vapor canopy comes, none of it's going to work at all. But that's if I was the devil. That's what I would do. There's all kinds of ways. The media is genius at what they do. They can push a whole new pandemic or a financial reset to coincide with a bunch of volcanoes and volcanic spikes. So the public is too busy just trying to survive while the sky is changing. There's just too many ways they can do this. The general public, during all these transitional period from our ice age world now to the coming vapor canopy environment, the public will be kept arguing about aliens and chemtrails and lizard people, while the real event, a new vapor canopy world of towering forests and mega beasts, starts unfolding overhead, and the changes appear all over the world. While the media concentrates on the cities, out in the woods, the countryside, and the forests, all kinds of incredible things are happening. So by the time the ash falls, in the first 50-foot sunflowers, that's the first thing is going to be flower germinating things. They're going to grow huge. People are going to notice. People are going to notice their gardens. Things in their gardens are going to start growing. Like, what the hell? What's going on? But then again, they may have gotten ahead of that too with these non-germinating seed packs. Seeds that you can plant, you can grow tomatoes, but your tomatoes don't produce seeds. They may have gotten ahead of that too. I don't know. But as more and more people report all these weird things, on social media that are growing, mushrooms growing off brick walls, we're gonna be reporting all kinds of things, and it's all going to be unprecedented climate weirdness. They're gonna label everything. It's even today. I mean, it's so easy. How do we know it's so easy for the media to distract people from what's really going on in the world? Jeffrey Epstein, how you pronounce it. The Epstein affair keeps the public focused on what? Personalities, not phenomena. Yeah, not what's really going on. We're worried about, is Epstein alive or not? Who went to Epstein Island? Oh yeah, they created a monster when they created that narrative, because it can go in so many different directions. And the CIA, at any time they want to demonize somebody who doesn't want to play ball, they can release another Epstein file. Oh, look, this guy was found in this Epstein file. Oh, look, this guy's in this Epstein file. Let's unredact these files here because this guy doesn't want to play ball. It's going to put him on the Epstein file list too. I'm not saying any of these people are innocent, but if I was the devil, I would have a boogeyman, and his name would be Jeffrey Epstein. And I could use that boogeyman as a scapegoat for every nefarious thing that I had other people do, but I'm trying to protect the integrity of those other people's jobs, families, who they are. I'm trying to keep all attention away from them. So I throw every evil, negative deed that I have actually done, and I put it on my boogeyman. It's called scapegoating. That's what if I was the devil, that's what I would do. Man, How long have I been talking? 2 hours and 40 minutes. Wow. Wow. So what do you think? What do you think? Is there anybody that can provide me just a real short, maybe 3-word summary of everything I just told you? Yeah, I can equally say that everything I told you, you know what I mean, is factually untrue. But at the same time, I'm going to say I believe every bit of it. And yet, it's so dumb. But that's my presentation tonight. These are the things that have been on my mind for a few days now. I'm like, I've had to process them, put them together. But there's nothing we're being told in the field that makes sense. And if something doesn't make sense, then that means that's the intent. If things are, we're very intelligent. I'm not talking about Jason. I'm talking about we as a human family. We are very intelligent. And for us not to be able to put the pieces together means that there was nothing to put together, because we have been given imperfect pieces. And that for that to occur, then someone with intelligence is deciding what's going to be made public, what's not going to be made public, what is going to be deliberately deceitful, what we're going to allow the public to know and what we're not going to allow the public to know. These decisions are made not by the media, by the people that control the media. These decisions are made way at the top. There are many people in the intelligence community that are employed in a very compartmentalized world of high competition between different nationalities and countries and even different bureaus of the same nation. So it's very few intelligence operatives that really even know what's going on either. They're just doing their jobs. They're just doing their jobs. They're not my enemy. They're not your enemy. They're not the enemy. They're just doing their jobs. And they really don't have a clue where all this is going. But somebody does know. Somebody very high up who's orchestrating events, who's providing all kinds of smoke trails, who's admitting to the truth, but you're doing it through doublespeak. Somebody very high up knows. Yeah, we have a huge transformation in the world that's unfolding. We're in the beginning of it now, but it's just going to get more and more and more amplified all the way to 2040. You don't spend trillions on underground bases for nothing. You don't. They're getting ahead of something. The vax, they're getting ahead of something. These wars, they're getting ahead of something. That's what they're doing. That's my presentation, guys. That's it. They're getting ahead of something. I can't stand uniformitarians, so I'm going to jam this song because I never play it. But uniformitarians. This is my uniformitarian archaics battle anthem. Listen, I know if you've been suckered into that uniformitarian theory, I get it. I feel sorry for you. But I'm not going to apologize.
The truth awakens. Uniformitarians! You're
grind. Millions of years in your deluded mind. Ice Age's fate, strata stacked with deceit. Bury the cataclysms under your feet. Flash frozen worlds, oceans turn to stone. Fossils scream truth, but you're blind alone. Phoenix rising, every 138 spins. Reset the board where your bullshit begins. RKX draws it out of the Sims dark game. Paper canopy falls and fire and flame. Your shields for the elite, hiding the reset. Solid rock puppet, cashing your checks. Uniformitarian liars in the dust. Your theories rust in cataclysm we trust. Flash freeze the fraud, petrify your pride. RKX truth, it's no place to hide. Shattered realms, your world implodes. Catastrophist, thunder down your throat, it explodes. No evolution, draw notes, the rolling lie. We're the storm bringers. Watch your dogma die. Dogma die. Dental rings twisted, your date's all a scam. Relative bullshit from the academic clam. Hancock and Carlson, gaslighting clowns. 9600 BC, that's fairy tale grounds. Gobertly buried in your uniform fog. Of seals and boards, prove your timelines a fog. Fossils in 3D fighting, birthing alive. Same creatures today, your myth will survive. Simulation cage, age from command. Energy comes surge, a free six man. Dark satellite lurks, nemesis calls the shot. Your gradual grind, RKX says not. Uniformitarian liars in the dust. Your theories rust in cataclysm we trust. Flash freeze the fraud, petrify your pride. RKX truth hits, no place to hide. Shattered rails, your world implodes. Catastrophist, thunder down your throat, it explodes. No evolution, crawl, no slow rolling lie. We're the storm bringers. Watch your dogma die. Dogma die. You edit the data, compartmentalize fear. Lucretius warned, but you plug your ears. Beethoven fought, they saw through the veil. Your mind's a filter, your science a fail. Prison planet pushers, soul trap deceivers. We break the code, we're the true believers. No ice age goals, no very straight walk. Just resets and ruins, you're the RKX. Human fossils mock your revolutionary rave. Antarctica's forest flash frozen the fall. Vapor sky crash, dance at the call. Blavatsky's ghost sits in Shaw mistake. Your ancient aliens all phony and fake. Where the mavericks have good map in hand. Your uniform world sinking in quicksand. Uniformitarian liars in the dust. Your theories rust in cataclysm we trust. Flash freeze the fraud, petrify your pride. RKX truth hits, no place to hide. Shattered realms, your world implodes. Catastrophist, thunder down your throat, it explodes. No evolution, crawl, no slow rolling lie. We're the storm bringers. Watch your dogma die.